Welcome back to the Even If podcast. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Kinsey. And today's episode is how to know when you're ready to date again.
Are you ready to date again?
I am.
Oh, okay.
I am ready.
Should we wrap?
We're ready. Yeah, we're ready. No, it's such a, honestly, I'm really excited about this one because I feel like this is so applicable to so many people that either have never dated, haven't dated in a really long time, or are coming out of heartbreak and trying to assess, like, is it my fear getting in the way or am I ready?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's a little bit of both, you know?
I hear this a lot in my sessions with girls in my life coaching is just, you know, you get hurt, you're in a relationship that's hard, or you invest so much and pour into this relationship. And then it's like, can I really do that again?
Yeah.
Like, how am I going to put all this? I mean, I talk about this even with my friends and my clients. I just think it's such a common thing. When we get hurt, how do we know that we're ready to do it again? And one, it's like, I'm scared because what could happen? Two, am I ready? Like, is my heart healed? And some people think healing is 1 week. Some people think it's 3 years. Yeah. And there's not a right or wrong of what your healing journey looks like. It's just, what is it for you?
Yeah.
So I think there's so many things that go into how do I know if I'm ready to date and I don't feel ready to date, or am I just scared of what could happen, and figuring out how to discern the difference between that.
Totally. No, I honestly, this is a topic that is so relatable. It's really so relatable.
What would you say? Can you share your experience of your healing journey?
Yeah.
That makes you so confidently be able to say, yes, I'm ready to date?
Yeah. It took time. I definitely, I'll just talk about like my most recent relationship and coming back and healing from that. It was over a year ago when we broke up. And when we broke up, I like definitely knew I needed time. That relationship was serious. But it was one of those things where it was like, I just knew I needed to like, there's a lot of things involved. I had to rebuild a lot of self-confidence. You just kind of have to adjust to the fact that this person's no longer in your life and this is not your future. And I just knew I needed to be with Jesus. I knew I needed to focus on myself. And I've never been the girl that like jumps from one relationship to the other. I just don't think that that's something that my heart could handle. Like, I'm not saying that that's wrong. I'm just saying that that was never my story.
So do you have a timeline in your mind of like, when I break up, the next relationship starts in X amount of days?
No.
Or months?
No.
What is it? So what, it's just time for you?
It's just time. It's kind of like when I first, honestly, the last relationship that I was in, when we broke up, I was just like, okay, I need to get my feet underneath me, go through the process of what it means to heal. And I've always been the type that kind of grieves the relationship while I'm in the relationship a little bit towards the end. So like when it's over, it's
almost over. Okay.
Yeah. So it's almost like I already knew when the breakup was going to happen. I ended it and I kind of had grieved it a little bit before. But of course, you know, I'm hoping that it's going to work out. I'm a loyalist to the fault. Like, it's my Achilles heel. But when it ended, I definitely just knew I needed time and space to just like kind of start again. And I think that's what we're doing, right? I think a lot of times, at least for me, it's scary to get into another relationship or try to date again because you're like, well, what if it doesn't work out? And then that's another relationship that didn't work out. And then I have my mentor that's like, Kinsey, it takes one. It just takes one. And you're going to have to risk it again if you want to find love. So it was never like a, let's get to X point. The first month was like, let's just get through the first month. Like the first month is always like when you're post heartache, it's like, oh, this is hard. And then you kind of start to feel so much better. And everyone heals differently and everyone heals at a different pace. So I wouldn't say there's necessarily a time frame, but it took me a few months to like really kind of just get my head above water. And I also happened to move back to Nashville at the same time as my breakup. So there was a lot of like adjusting to this, like back to Nashville, back in work mode in the way that I had previously been before I moved. So there was time that needed to happen for me to feel like I was healing in the right ways. And there was things I wanted to really work through that I wouldn't take into my next relationship that I had gone through in my previous one. I owed it to whoever I date next, like do the work, make sure that I'm ready. And I just remember constantly like assessing my heart posture. Okay, do I want to like get on the apps because I want attention now, or I want to make myself feel good, and so nope, don't want that, not on the apps, not going to do that, not ready to put myself out there yet. But eventually it got to the point where I was like, I'm open, like I'm ready. And if something happens, amazing. I feel super ready for that. And if not, I'm just going to keep on living my life. And that's been my posture ever since then, was just like, okay, I'm just going to be open to it. And now I'm at a point where I like definitely just really excited for whoever I'm end up with and feel so ready for him and more ready now than I ever have. And it's taken time. I mean, I haven't been in a relationship in over a year. So what about you?
Well, I was going to say too, I think on our episode, How to Wait Well, you taught me about the difference of passive and active dating.
Yeah.
Or waiting.
Waiting.
Right?
Yeah.
Passive and active waiting.
Or yeah, we could apply that to dating. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what does that look like? And I think after you ended your breakup, after you ended your relationship and broke up, you were in a passive waiting, right?
Totally.
Like you weren't looking for it. And then maybe as time changes and you figure I am more ready, you enter into that
more active
kind of seems
role.
like is where you are.
Yeah.
Now.
And that active role is like, I'm not on dating apps. I'm not against them. I'm not saying I would never be on them. I'm just not on them. But the active role kind of is more involving like conversations with friends. Like if they're like, hey, are you open? Are you looking? And my answer is like, yeah, if you have anybody that you think is worth setting me up, like totally I'm open, but I'm not like seeking this out. It's just not my personality. At least right now. And that does not necessarily match my desire. My desire is burning. My desire is like, I want to have a family and a husband, but the role that I play in making that happen is basically just being open to what God does and not chasing, not pursuing. It's just not me.
Yeah.
That's
where you're at.
Yeah. So that's kind of what it looked like. There's no like magic. I wish there was a formula. I wish there was a manual that could be like, okay, this is when you know you're ready to date. This is when you know you're healed. This is when you know you've worked through your past trauma, your past patterns, all these things. But I just think everyone is so different.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think that's what we're going to get into today is like, what are the signs you're still healing? What are the signs you're walking in healing? And how do you define what you want? And what does it look like to know your readiness? And how can we test our readiness? And so I think talking through those things helps to know when you're ready to date again. But yeah, you're right. I wish it was just a 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, be so nice. And then at month 6, you're going to meet the guy. And then on month 9, but you're going to, it's like, it's just not how it works. It's just not how it works. Will you share though, because we talked about this last week, just like the differences between being scared and not being interested. Like how can you discern whether you're just like, maybe you're going out with a guy and then you're like, you might be scared, or are you just maybe not interested, or maybe you're not feeling ready? Like, how do you know the difference?
Yeah, that's a good question. I remember being in college, and when I had broken up with a guy, there was another guy who was pursuing me. And I remember thinking, do I like him? And do I want to date him? Or am I just scared because of what I just went through with this last one? And I'm not sure, like, am I interested in him, or is it just like I'm lonely? And I think that's really hard to tell. And for me in that season, I don't think I healed what I needed to. And I jumped too fast into another relationship. And the Lord used it all. It was hurtful for me and for him. And I should have taken care of myself and my heart and even processed what I had gone through in the previous relationship first. But I think when another guy started showing interest in me, and I felt like he was safe and he was comfortable and he was a good friend and these things, it just felt like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to jump in. And so I did. And I think I brought baggage in from the old one. And I think we all have baggage. We're always going to bring baggage into the next relationship. But like, are you aware of it? And do you know how it's affected you? And do you know how to handle it when something comes up again? And not that we're always going to know all that either, but I think just being aware, I think the awareness of that. And I was so unaware. And so for me, that was I was not ready to date again. And looking back, I don't know what I would have done differently necessarily, because I think it's what felt right at the time.
Yeah, makes sense.
And I think you just learn from it. And going forward, I realize if somebody is in my shoes where I was then and asks me, I can tell them what was hurtful about it. And to tell them, I treated him poorly in this way because I took things out on him that wasn't his fault. And I was looking for affirmation and looking for things in him that is not his responsibility to have given me. And so I could encourage somebody else in that where they're at and kind of say, like, here's the things that I wish I would have done before I jumped into something different. But I think at the time, it's what I did. It's my story.
Yeah.
And again, I think the Lord uses all of it in that.
Yeah. No, that's good. That is really good. Because I think, I mean, again, there's no like bullet point answer of how to assess. Are you scared? Are you not interested? Are you just not ready? But I think being able to just like go about understanding your past, I think also can help you move forward. Because again, everyone is very different. So it's like I don't think it's a one size fits all.
Yeah.
You know, I wish it was.
Yeah.
But I do think there are some key things that you can look out for. There are some key things that you can do. And I would say, like, if I had a younger sister, I would tell my younger sister or just my younger self, like, don't jump into anything. Like, wait, like, process your healing, like, seek counsel, ask people. And then, honestly, a lot of it, too, is just bouncing things off of the people that you trust. Like, hey, I feel like I'm ready. Do you think I'm ready? And then talking through, like, is it your fear?
Yeah, I think that those conversations with community is super important.
Yeah.
And to process those things, like, okay, are you scared? Am I scared to get into this next relationship because of the hurt I went through? And is that what's holding me back from knowing if I'm ready to date again? Or am I just not interested in him? And I think sometimes just time will tell. And
no, it's real.
Asking people, be like, hey, do you think he and I would be compatible? Do you think there's things you see in me that I could still work on and still heal from?
Yeah.
Do you think, and kind of asking yourself too, what are my fears? Am I scared? What's the worst thing that could happen?
Yeah.
We break up. Okay. Is it worth it to not date him and not experience this, not try? If he's somebody that I think I've prayed about and the Holy Spirit has given me affirmation on go and try.
Go and try.
See.
No, I love that. I think too, if we can, like, breaking it down too, it's like, the heart check, like how to assess, are we truly healed? And I think there's certain ways in that you can go, okay, step one, like, am I really healed? How and where can I assess that? And so I think like the first thing is like signs that you're still healing will probably be like, are you still bitter?
Yeah.
Like, how do you talk about your ex?
Yeah.
If you talk about your ex in a negative light, it's probably you've still got some stuff to work through. And I'm not necessarily saying that you can't move on and have like not the best experience with an ex, but I think it's like, have you looked at your contribution in that relationship?
When you say bitterness, I'm like, yes. Like, and I think that's part of the breakups, right? It wasn't what I wanted, or this happened, or he did this. These things that we're bitter about, whether it was because he was not great and the relationship was toxic, or just bitter because it's like, gosh, I put so much time and effort into this and it wasn't the right one. I'm bitter and angry. It feels like a waste or whatever it may be. But the way you talked about it a year ago to where you talk about where you are now is totally different. I mean, I don't hear totally different. So I think that's such a good call out.
I definitely, and I think just to kind of add to that, it's like and that was a really bad breakup. Like it was painful. I'm sure like every breakup is painful, but I can look at it now and through therapy and coaching and the Lord and my community and be like, okay, what was my contribution to this? Like, what was my responsibility in this? Because I had one, I played a part. It always takes two. And so I think if you can look at your past relationships and go, it is what it is, even if you don't have the nicest things to say, but then go, but I stayed, or I chose it, or I did X, Y, Z. To me, that's like a great sign that you've worked through that. And that doesn't mean that like you are going to not think about that person or things are not going to come up, because I think naturally they just are going to when you move into another relationship. But I think as long as you can truly believe and truly know that you forgive them and forgive yourself for the mistakes that you've made, I think you're ready. And so, just not carrying bitterness or anger
I'd
is
also say
key.
shame with that too.
Shame. Oh
shame.
yeah, I definitely, a lot of that was
because I think shame drives us into so many dark holes, but it can be codependency. It can be looking for affirmation in things. It can be hiding. It can be, I think if we don't deal with our shame from whatever it is, we are walking in shame because of our past relationship or because of our lifestyle or because of who we were or whatever it was. If we are walking in shame, I do think that also is probably a sign that you're still healing.
Yeah.
And not that we're always going to deal with shame. I think it's something that, because on this side of heaven, it's here and it happens, and figuring out how do we not like live in that shame though. And do we know what to do to get out of that and to go forward? And
shame's such a blocker. I mean, it's going to block. I've seen it in my own life. I've seen it in others' lives. Like, and it can really prohibit you from moving forward. Yeah. So I think that's huge.
Okay. Anything else for like signs that you're still healing, or how do you know that you're like walking and healing?
I think you're walking and healing when you're like fully surrendered. And we did a whole episode on what it means to like be fully surrendered and let it go. And I think if you can fully surrender every part of your life, and I really struggled a lot of my 20s, and I had what I thought most of my life surrendered to the Lord, but I had like the dating piece was not surrendered. I was like trying to control that, or my career was like somewhat surrendered. But I think if you can earnestly say you are fully surrendered to the Lord, like whatever he has, whatever he wants to do, however he's going to bring that person into your life or have you start dating again, like you're open to it. And with that means you are going to be a little bit scared. Like God doesn't call us to do things that are easy or within our comfort zone. So I think just assessing that, but I think being fully surrendered is a way that you can honestly know that you're walking and healing.
Yeah. I like that, being fully surrendered. And also with that, being confident in singleness, like not feeling the need to have a relationship to be whole of like, I don't need to just go into something else. I don't need to date somebody, even if it's like, I'm not sure he's the one, but it's fun right now. Yeah. You know, it's like, no. Let's move past that. That's not, that's wasting your time. Yeah. And to move into the stage of walking and healing is being confident in who you are and who the Lord has created you to be and the things that you like and don't like. And I think a lot of that comes with time and age. And I look at who I was 10 years ago to now, I'm so much more confident in who I am.
Totally.
And I think that's such a gift of the 30s. I love the 30s.
Yes, love the 30s.
I think you just figure out what's true about yourself.
Totally.
And not worrying about keeping up with Joneses or being who other people think you should be. And not just dating to date, but being confident of this is who I am. This is what I want. Walking in healing of this is also my story of my past. It doesn't define me, but it's a part of my story.
Right. Totally. Well, and like one of the greatest things about being in your 30s and dating in your 30s is that you are so clear on what you want. And I have redefined what I want in a man over and over again, but I finally feel like I'm at a place where I am the person I want to be that would attract this type of person, you know? And so we can't like expect all these things from somebody and not be doing those things at all ourselves, right? And so I think it's just, that's something that when I was actually talking to some of the girls, my cousin's daughter's here over the weekend, and she's with her two girlfriends and they're seniors in college, and we were just yapping away last night, and I was just telling them like all about like get excited for your 30s, and like it's just so wild to me. And I'm like, one of the greatest things is like, you know who you are better than ever, you know what you want more than ever, you know who you want to walk through life with more than ever. And so I think that's something that's been really is just so significant and special about being in your 30s.
Well, too, okay, so on that topic, how do you think what you talked about redefining what you want, how has that changed from you now to you 10 years ago, what you wanted romantically in a relationship? Like, what do you think were your priorities 10 years ago versus now? Or are they the same?
I mean, I think that they're somewhat similar, but I now know if like that's actually who that person is or not, because I think I've just dated potential. I think I've always I will say too, I was always attracted to what people would say, like people with words, and now words, I mean, I love words. Words of affirmation are a huge love language of mine, but actions trump that. So I've learned now to watch through action. I've learned that, I've learned the definition of love bombing, and so I know what to look out for. And so it's like being attracted to the things that I know are substantial and understanding what that looks like is the biggest difference between dating in your 20s and dating in your 30s. And just wanting to ensure that like you're seeing their character, early on, and you're not impressed by the flashy things or the swag or like the fact that he like knows what to say and when to say the right thing. Like anyone can do that. And I always am a big believer, like if it starts really fast, it's going to end really fast. And so I like things to go slow, even though my anxiety sometimes is like, oh my gosh, this is so scary. But
that's an interesting thing that you're saying.
I know, but then I'm like, oh my gosh.
Wait, you don't think fast is good? Or what did you say?
I think if it starts fast, it can end real fast. And I think I take that from work, because it's like you want to hire slow and fire fast. So I think about a relationship and my own again, this is like so my own experience, because I have been love bombed, or I have been dated a wolf in sheep's clothing, and so it was like it all seems so great and everything is going great. And then like the change happened. So I think consistency and moving really intentionally is like key for my heart.
I get that.
But it's uncomfortable for me. But I think that's also a huge shift between my 20s and my 30s. But who I want is very much the same. But I think I'm just way more confident in like actually holding that standard, because I would want that and then I would drop it. I'd say I want this and then I would be like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Or I really want him to be like this, and I would just like settle into whatever he was and be fine with it. And there's no perfect person. There's no one that's going to hit these massive benchmarks, but there are key things that I know that I need in somebody, and I've learned that through heartbreak. So I'm super grateful, because I wouldn't have known those things, had I ended up with someone that I dated in my 20s. So that's a great question. What about you? That is a really good question.
I think knowing what I want in my 20s and knowing what I want now is definitely different. And I think a lot of it is just the priorities of what matters. I probably still have like a similar type, and I think it's always mattered to me that he loves the Lord. It always matters to me that he's relational, like active, those things. But I think the extremity of those were different. It was like back in the day, as long as he goes to church. Where now it's like, no, you must like love the Lord,
so good,
and it must be your priority. Back in the day, it was like, he must play for a professional team. Now I'm like, as long as you're athletic.
As long as you lift a weight or two.
Right. Still work out and want kids to be active and appreciate active lifestyle,
honesty.
And back in the day so I just think some things have shifted.
Yeah.
More so for some and less for
Makes
others.
sense.
And kind of figuring out what that means and what is important in a partner. And I think dating too, you do learn from your past. You recognize unhealthy patterns from past relationships.
Totally.
What are the things that I look back on relationships and I'm like, okay, I saw those patterns. I just ignored them, or I saw those red flags. And
can I ask you what some of those are for you?
Some of the patterns
or red flags that you've seen?
I think I have at times been a fix-it girl. Like I see something and I want to fix it, or I want to help. And so I date somebody who's not has the same goals or dreams as me, but I'm like, I could fix that. And not that I'm better than them. It's just like, I am walking a different lifestyle even, and not even in faith, but just like, oh, you're a city boy, I'm a country girl. I'll change you, or you believe in this, I believe in that. It's okay. I can change that. Or you don't like these things. And then I feel like I'm wanting these guys to change, but that's not fair to them, because it's not who they are. It's not what they asked for.
Yeah.
So I think that is something in me that I have noticed. But I think in others of just, I'm similar to you. I've had a lot of say the right things and say the right words, but can you show up and can you do it?
Yeah.
And you tell me that you love these things about me, and then actions show differently. Or you tell me that you will do these things, but I don't see it.
Yeah.
And that you want this lifestyle, but then it doesn't match up. And so I'm very big on actions as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big one. And then I think red flags is like, I have amazing friends, and there have been guys I've dated that my friends just haven't seen it or haven't, I don't know if not supported, because I think my friends have supported me and loved me, but they've also told me hard things about like, hey, I don't know if this is it, or like, hey, you don't seem like yourself in this, or these things, whatever it is. The honesty I always appreciate, and I welcome it from all of my friends. But for me to hear that from multiple friends and continue to date, I look back and I'm like, you got to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
No, like you got to pay attention to when
so real.
Your people are saying stuff. So I think those are some of the first things I can think about.
Those are good.
There's also such a difference in like cultural expectations and biblical truth.
Yes.
In dating.
So good.
And I think that applies to so many things, whether it's our age or our purity or the way we date, or when we XYZ, and cultural expectation versus biblical truth is often very different, and it can be polarizing, and it can split people, and it can be really, really hard.
Let's camp out here for a second. The cultural expectations versus biblical truth, especially in our age, right? I think, first of all, just our age alone, we could go, okay, the cultural expectation is by the time you're 33 and 34, you should be married by now. And if you're not, like, you should probably hurry up and do that. Biblical truth tells us that that's not the case at all.
Sarah waited till she was 90 years old.
Till she was 90. I think when it comes to purity, like same thing. I think that's so true. What's the cultural expectation versus biblical truth there? I think how you date. Do you date in community? Do you date in isolation? Like there's so many things. And I think for me personally, I was never like focused on the biblical truth of dating in my 20s. Like I had this idea, like I love Jesus, but it was like, well, I mean, I'll like sleep with my boyfriend and that's fine because I still love Jesus. And it's like, well, I've had the conviction over the years to completely change that. So definitely not sitting on my high horse being like, oh yeah, you got to date the biblical truth way, but I've done it the other way and it's very painful and it's very not life-giving at all. And I don't want to go down those dark paths. And so I think that's a big part of like us being on this podcast is being able to say, hey, like, yeah, there's some things that I've done that I'm not proud of or things that I've done that I just am not choosing to do anymore. And I think camping out here for the cultural expectations versus biblical truth in dating, I think it's really key because I think people sometimes wonder, well, I've always been this way, so I should probably just continue to date this way. And it's like, no, God can completely change your heart. He can completely change what you want. I'm a recipient of that. And so choosing to date the biblical way and with biblical truth and with community and having eyes on that and having people hold me to a higher standard is how I want to date. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy or is easy.
So how do you create that God-honoring standard?
Well, first you have to walk in it yourself. Like you have to guard your eyes. You have to guard your heart. You have to guard your ears. You have to surround yourself with the kind of people that honestly kind of align in that way too. I mean, it doesn't mean that you're just only friends with believers or anything like that, but it's just saying, hey, like, this is what I want. Can you hold me to this standard? And there are going to be times, I'm sure, especially in the future, where it's like, ooh, this is temptation. Like it's really difficult to like stay pure with the person that I'm dating when I'm not dating right now, but when I get there, you know, like that's what I want, but it's going to be really hard to do that. So how do you do that? Well, I'm going to seek my friends who have done it and just go, okay. Or my friends that are like not dating and can push me to do that or in the same season, because you can't do that alone. You just cannot. It's impossible, you know, to do that alone. So I think, I forget what your question was, but that's my answer. Can you leave that in? Yeah. Oh yeah. Just walking it.
Yeah. And not settling anymore out of the fear of being alone or not trying to make something work. Because, oh my gosh, you have seen me do that of trying to make something work because on paper, everything looks good. I'm like, he does this, he does this, he drives this, he looks like this, he works at this. Like all of these things that look so right, so good. But the relationship doesn't feel like it's one that together we're better or together we're stronger, or it's not one that's like reflecting Christ, and it doesn't feel like it's just missing something. And so just because there's so much that's almost there, what did you tell me about the 90%? Like,
I basically just saying like, you know, the enemy knows like, hey, here's 90%. This is great. You know, God wants to give us the full 100. And that doesn't mean we have this unrealistic expectation. Like that's the thing that I think we have to be very careful of dating in our 30s, is like you wanting this perfect man because he doesn't exist, because we are not the perfect woman.
Right.
But I do believe that there are things that God is just like, I just need you to hold out. I just need you to wait. And it's hard to have hope. And I could go down a whole other tangent on that, but the enemy could put 90% of something in front of you and say, this is just good enough. And I just really believe that God wants to give us the full 100. And I think discerning what that full 100 looks like is a conversation between you and the Lord, and having peace. And there's so many factors. Bring community in. Do you have peace? Do you want to keep going? Does this person early on make you laugh? Does he follow up? Is he really intentional? Is he kind? Like, does he have these, can you see yourself doing life with him? Like, those are all great things to continue to move forward, but God doesn't want to just give you 90%. He wants you to have the full 100.
I love it. So, okay. We talked about testing your readiness. Let's talk about that. Like, how can we test our readiness for jumping into a relationship again, knowing we're ready to date, spiritual readiness, emotional, practical, like what does that look like? Maybe start with spiritual readiness.
Yeah. I think the first thing is like, are you seeking God above everything else? I think that's kind of when you know that you're ready. It's like, it's not just kind of like he's kind of there and then you're also seeking career and you're also seeking friends. Like, are you seeking the Lord? And is he your everything? And I would say, are you running fast towards him while you're also chasing your career, while you're also building friendship? So I would say, are you chasing the Lord and seeking him? Do you trust that even if the next relationship doesn't work out, that God is still good and that you're going to still end up married? That's something that I'm in a season of like, ooh, it's scary. Like, what if this doesn't work out? Or then I have to like go and heal again. And then and it's like, okay, no, why are we projecting? Why am I putting myself? I actually listened to this incredible sermon over the weekend, and it was, he was talking about Hebrews, but it's just like, today, if you hear from him, like, do not harden your heart. And it was just like so true, because today, like, keep your heart soft today. What happens? How do you harden a heart? It's over time. Over time, your heart slowly gets hardened by like sin and bitterness and all those things. And so I think, can you stand in today and go, okay, even if this doesn't work out, God's so good, and I'm going to like be rooted in today. And I think if you can have that kind of posture, that tells me like spiritually you're ready. And the third thing I'd say is like, are you fully surrendered? And that's a hard thing too, because like, are you surrendering the control of trying to make this work?
Yeah.
And I think I've said this on the last podcast. Like, I'm not like the most self-confident person in every area of my life, but the one area I'm very confident in is I can make anything happen. Like, if I want something, I will go figure out how to get it done. And that is not how I want to date.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to make it happen on my own. I just don't. And so I think that's a muscle that I have to constantly exercise, is I have to surrender daily, sometimes multiple times a day, of like, I don't want this if I can make it happen.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not just in dating, that's just in life too. But
that's good. Yeah. Do you trust God even if it doesn't work out?
Yeah.
Because I think it's something that I was talking to a friend about recently, actually, just like the fear of her jumping into this next relationship and being like, there's a lot I like about him. There's things I could see, but what if I have to go through hurt again? What if I get sad? What if I have to heal from this again? Yeah. It's like, okay,
yeah.
Well, what if you do?
What if you do?
If you do, you do. And you could just not try it.
Yeah.
Or you could try it even if,
Yep.
instead of the what if, right? What if is, well, what if this happens? What if it's fear, right? That holds us back, even if it is faith, and that pushes us forward. So even if I do get sad, even if we do break up, even if he's not the one, I trust God had a plan in this.
Totally.
If I go before the Holy Spirit before dating him and I feel peace about it and I feel like he's given me the go, and maybe it's a go girl, try it out. Maybe it's a go girl, I'm going to use you in this. Maybe it's a go girl, you're going to learn something from this. But like, if I feel his peace in it, then I'm going to go.
Yep. And I also think too, like, one of the things I was telling one of my girlfriends, because similar conversation with her, I was like, I also be prepared for God to shift your heart if the time comes where this is going to end. It doesn't mean that like you're going to be this excited about him when it ends. Maybe it's you decide that it ends. Like, we are always preparing to be either the one that's left or the one that's being broken up with, or gosh, no, I have to end it. But like, we project so far down the line of like, what if this ends in heartbreak? Well, what if God shifts your heart so much that by the time that maybe it does end, like, you're not as hurt as you think you're going to be, you know, like you're not the same person you once were when you got broken up with, or when you broke up the last relationship. Totally. You're not the same person. So you're going to treat it differently. So it might not hurt as bad. It might hurt more, but like you said, if God gives you peace, you got to walk in it. So yeah, I think that's so good. What about emotional readiness? Like, will you speak in that? Like, how do you know emotionally?
Even talking about my past when I was not emotionally ready to jump into something else, I think there was a lot of therapy and counseling I could have gone through, and I did end up doing that, but it was after I had already went through another relationship. I think going through it and processing, if you have been in a traumatic or hurtful, abusive relationship, taking time to really heal from that. And so I think emotionally is understanding kind of what happened, being able to put words to things. I think there was a lot of things that I was like, oh, it was toxic, it was bad, but like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And
what does that mean?
To have the language to talk about it, to know the forgiveness, the grace, to walk confidently and have done the work, I think is really important. I think emotional readiness also includes setting healthy boundaries. I have been at points where there's things I'd let slide, or be like, hey, before going into a relationship, I'm not doing this. I'm doing this. I'm okay with this. I would not put up with this. And then you get in a relationship and it's like, my emotional readiness was not there. I just was like, oh, well, he's really hot. Oh, well, it's not that bad. Oh, it could be worse. Right. And my emotional readiness, my emotional strength was not there.
Yeah.
That I was letting those boundaries down. So I think being able to have healthy boundaries and hold to them in whatever area that looks like, I think is really important.
That's good.
I also think speaking of boundaries, just being aware of the red flags and things and knowing what are the things that you see and you're like, if I have told you I will not date a man who does this or I will not do this, as soon as I see that red flag, stopping and saying, okay, let's assess. Yeah. This is what I said I wouldn't put up with. Yep. Seeking counsel, seeking mentorship, praying, asking the Lord. Yep. If it's a conversation worth having with him, have it with friends, and really pausing and not ignoring those red flags.
Totally.
Which I think we talked about this on our episode, Dating Advice with Dad, is just red flags don't mean stop or run away, but it means stop, assess the situation, like check it out. Yeah. Look into it more.
So good.
And I guess the third thing I'd say for emotional readiness is, are you willing to walk away if it's not right for you? I think that can be really hard because it's knowing your standard. It's knowing what you want, what you're looking for, and knowing that marriage is a gift that the Lord gives us and we're not promised it. And it's really just having a partnership on this side of heaven to walk through life with. And I pray that the Lord gives me that because it's such a desire of my heart. Yeah. And I want somebody to do that with, but I know it's not something that's guaranteed or nothing that I deserve, or I know that I have to be okay to walk away if somebody is, whether it's dragging me down or taking up time in areas that aren't kingdom work, or are we doing things and it is becoming isolating and I'm better off single. As Paul says, like if you are married, he talks about if you're married, I mean, that is you're taking so much time and that's your priority. If you're single, you have all the time in the world to do these other things. And so just really thinking am I ready for this emotionally to invest in conflict resolution with a husband? Am I ready emotionally to sit down and take confrontation? Am I ready emotionally to sacrifice some things to prioritize him and that and being aware of those things, because it changes. And it's so crazy how fast it could change, because today I'm single and tomorrow I could meet somebody and I have no idea that today's my last day. Yep. Being single before something else.
Yeah. You never get to say goodbye to the current season that you're in.
Yeah. It just happens.
It can just happen out of nowhere. No, I love that. I also think too, when my best friend told me this analogy of like cementing, like, and I love that, like that kind of like visual of just being able to like, with all these things that you just shared with us, like being able to then cement the emotional readiness. Like, okay, here are my red flags. Now I'm cementing that. And I think sometimes it does take us a minute to like let that cement dry. But I think when the cement is dry, we're getting really close to dry. Like, I think you're ready, because then you're going to stand. Yeah, exactly. On those things, because it is hard to walk away from somebody that's like really great, but not quite what you need. Yeah. Et cetera, et cetera. So
yeah, I love
that.
Well, we talked spiritual readiness. We talked emotional readiness. So what are practical signs, maybe questions we could ask to know, like practically, are we ready?
Yeah.
To date again?
One of them that I even used just for my own when I was assessing whether I was ready or not is like, am I ready? Like, am I just lonely? Or
talking about Hinge, dating apps.
Yeah, like, okay, do I want to get on a dating app? Because like I could get on a dating app and I could immediately feel better about myself.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Yeah,
depending.
maybe,
maybe,
or maybe not.
But then I'm like, no, it's not like I don't want that. I don't want to just like feel better. So I think, are you dating because you're ready, or are you just feeling lonely? I think is a question to ask yourself. And how do you know that? Well, yeah, like there's always going to be an element of, I guess, loneliness, but do you enjoy time by yourself? If you don't enjoy time by yourself, to me, that's a red flag for me and a man. Like if you can't be alone for like a night by yourself or spend time alone, like that's something that I'm looking for in somebody, and I love that. So I think ask yourself that, like, can you be by yourself? Are you okay? Are you secure enough in who you are?
Yeah.
Or are you dating because you're lonely and you're trying to fill space?
Do you think it's okay to feel lonely?
Yeah.
And to want a partnership because of being lonely?
That's how God created us, 100%.
So then how do you discern if you're just looking for it because you're lonely?
I think I think pay attention to when those times come. Like, are you lonely because it's Sunday and everyone's out grocery shopping together?
Mm-hmm.
Like, probably not a good indicator that like you're necessarily lonely. I think if you're craving to, like, in my opinion, be in partnership with somebody and get married and like share your life with them and lean on them and support them and raise kids with them, like, to me, that's like, okay, you're ready, like, go, like, that's what your heart's yearning for. But if you're looking like for someone to fill time and space with because you just don't want to be by yourself or you're tired of being by yourself, I would check your heart posture in that, because I definitely think God calls us, like, he made us creatures that like are meant to be with other people.
Yeah,
like,
Genesis talks about it's not good for man to be alone.
It's not good for man to be alone. And so I think being able to earnestly, like, just be vulnerable enough to admit, like, yeah, no, I want to spend my life with somebody. But assessing, like, okay, what's my heart posture in that? And when do those feelings of loneliness come up? And being able to identify, like, what exactly that is. Because it's very common.
Yeah.
I get lonely.
Yeah. That's good.
Not often, because I like being alone, but
you're
that's a whole nother story. Yes.
That's good. Yeah. I'd say another practical sign is even just do your godly friends affirm your readiness.
It's a good one.
Like, affirm where you are. I feel like I'm just so grateful again for community that can encourage in that way and see, like, hey, this is not a time, whether it is because you're dealing with bitterness and anger, shame, loneliness, whatever these things are that you're going through, or is it like, hey, I am so excited for you because I know you are so ready for this. And I can see this in you and you're going to make an amazing, like, I can say that about you. I think you are so ready. Like, I can affirm that. I see that you spend time alone. I see that you're okay with that. I see that you are pouring into women and doing Bible studies. You are crushing it at your career and full ride, and the things you're doing, even in the hard days of running a business as a solo female entrepreneur, is so hard, and you're crushing it.
Thank you. You're so
and
sweet.
I just think your heart is ready. You're not seeking attention. You are so quick to say, this is just affirmation station.
I'm like, bring it on. I could use it today.
So much to say. But I just think too, I see you so open to what the Lord has. And I mean, men have pursued you, and there's things that you're just like, this isn't a fit. This isn't what I want. Or like, he's not doing these things. And you're good to say, you're fine to say no. You're fine to say, I don't see us going in the same places. And you're open to the ones that have wanted to pursue you and that have the same goals in mind. And so for me, I look at you and I'm like, you are ready. Lord, what are you doing?
Come on, Lord. I know.
Like,
I know.
I see that. And so I think it's really cool to have people that are walking really closely with you, with us, to just see those things. And
well, and I've needed you to speak that into me, because the differences between our personalities is like, you are like my go-getter, like risk taker girlfriend. And it's not that I'm not like that, but you do that in a way that pushes me to want to do that more. And so I've needed you to be like, you're ready. Stop overthinking this. Like, you're ready. And it's been such a gift. And because I think we can, if we just like stay in our little bubble, like I could just like continue to just work really hard and pour into women and do all these things. But it's like, I need the accountability to be like, Kins, like, you say you want this, so
try it.
Yeah, that's so good.
Okay. Yeah. And I was just talking to a guy about this and like what advice that he would give to girls for how to know you're ready to date. And it's like, you can always say yes to a coffee date.
Yeah.
You know, you can say yes to a coffee date, feel it out, learn by experience, learn by going. A coffee date doesn't mean we're getting married.
No.
A coffee date doesn't mean a second date.
Yeah.
A coffee date doesn't mean, you know, it's just like, if somebody asks you on a coffee date, you can go, just do it. See how you feel. See if it feels good.
Yeah.
See if it feels like there's a connection there.
Yeah.
And just being honest and open and upfront afterwards. If it's
that.
something that was enjoyable and you'd like to do again, or you can tell pretty quickly. I mean, I have realized that, like, I love coffee dates because it's not the commitment of a full dinner.
Right.
If you don't know somebody,
yeah,
you know, so it's good. Nice. Like, I've gone on blind dates and gone to coffee or setups and gone to coffee. And I think it's nice just because I enjoy a cup of coffee, low pressure, get to know them.
That's really good.
And then afterwards, even just be like, yeah, how did I feel about it? Talk about it with your girlfriends. Say, what are the things I liked, didn't like.
Process with your people. Don't overthink it. And like, one day it's just a date. And then if you go on a second date, it's just a second date.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's not that serious, but God doesn't work on a parked car. I think I've said this before. And I say that in classes all the time. Like, we've got to move. Like, we've got to just take the next right step, and we've got to move and take it one day at a time, but go on the coffee date.
Yeah.
Try it out.
Okay. I think 3 closing things to just finish with as we wrap is 1, pray about where you are in your healing journey.
Yep.
Pray about it, bring it to the Lord, ask your friends, be in community, pray about where am I in my healing journey? Am I ready to date again? Talk to the Lord about it first and foremost, most important. 2, seeking wise counsel before jumping back in. I think the Lord, obviously, number 1. Number 2, just that wise counsel of community, mentorship, friends, people who are walking with you saying, how do you feel about me jumping back into dating, asking? There's literally nothing hurtful about that. And at the end of the day, it's between you and the Lord and what you decide and what's best for you. And your friend could look you dead in the eyes and be like, I don't think you're ready. And if you feel like you're ready, okay, sure. Yeah. But I think, why wouldn't we ask? And why wouldn't we get that feedback from people who are trusted and people who know us well? And 3, just testing your readiness, spiritual readiness, emotional readiness, checking those practical signs of, is it fear? Is it loneliness? Am I ready? You know?
Yeah. 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 And I think if we could at all encourage anyone that's kind of in this season of just like, am I ready to date again? Things I would say to you are just like, you have to, it's another analogy of just chasing the bus. Like, I remember when I was moving to Austin and I was just like, should I go? Should I not go? Should I go? Should I not go? And I'm a big believer that if you are obedient, like if you are trusting in the Lord and then you are obedient to Him, you can't mess it up. Like, you can't mess up your own life. We're not powerful enough. And that gives me so much relief. And I say this all the time in my classes, like, you are not powerful to mess up your own life. And that should give you such relief and such confidence to know that you can't mess it up. Like, you just can't, and you can't miss it. And you're not ever going to be too much for the wrong person. All these kinds of things. Or you're never going to be too much for the right person. And so chase the bus. If you miss the bus, if the bus walks away, whatever, it was never your bus. But you're never going to know. And so you do have to risk it, and you do have to do it scared. And dating is scary sometimes, especially if you've been hurt, but like, go try. It's like that risk. And I think it's C.S. Lewis, or I can't remember who says this. I think it's C.S. Lewis, but it's just that vulnerability piece of like, the thing that you want the most is also probably going to the thing that scares you the most, but like, you can keep your heart locked up. Yeah, I think it's C.S. Lewis. I can't remember the exact one, but it's just basically like, you can keep your heart locked up and cold, and you can keep it from loving and ever feeling anything at all. But like, what kind of life is that? So
to love it all is to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And yeah. It's worth it. It's a risk.
And it's a risk.
How to date again? How to know if you're ready to date again? Maybe you try and then you realize you're not, and you can say no. Yep. And you can say, hey, I thought I was ready. This isn't working for me right now. Follow the Holy Spirit. At the end of the day, if we could summarize this episode, it's listen, ask the Lord. Ask the Lord. Ask the Lord. Go to Him. Seek His advice and counsel and wisdom.
Yeah. And if you're wondering what He's saying, like, go to the Word. If you, because everyone hears the Lord differently. So if you're hearing this, and you're like, well, I don't know what He's saying about this. I can't hear Him. Well, go to the Word. Go to your community.
Yes.
You know, practice those disciplines. Like, do you have peace about it? You know, like, and those are all ways that, you know, the Lord's going to tell you what to do.
Even if love hasn't come the way you thought it would, your story isn't over.
Even if you're still in the waiting, God is writing something beautiful.
Even if He is still good.